Good morning. Okay, good. Well, it's midnight. It's almost 1 a.m. But listen, I want to say this, people of God. Somebody needs to hear this message. You are not crazy. You just don't understand your superpower. Use your superpower. You don't understand your gift, your superpower of prayer, and your gifts that God has given you. Use your superpowers. The prayer of a righteous, it availeth much. And I know that Mate, don't start it. Hold on, let me get her situated. Okay. I know that many of us have been experiencing attacks, It's like it's attacks, spirits of retaliation, and just those who are just relentless enemies. But I want you to be encouraged, because if the enemy could have his way, if our enemies' powers were as strong as they thought they would be, we would be out of here instantly. We would die instantly. We would fail instantly. But see, they're violent. They're constantly working to come against God's people in dangerous, wicked ways. They don't care. There's no love in their heart for God's people. But I want you to know something. If you're watching this video, you are an overcomer. If you're watching this video, you are powerful. There was a song the Holy Spirit gave me, what was it, the beginning of the year or last year? I've got the power, I've got the power, I've got the power within me. All through Christ, all through Christ. That came to my spirit one day, and I just kept singing all day. And the more I sung it, the more I felt a shaking in the spiritual realm. But I want you to know something. You see, you have the power all through Christ. That is why you can recognize what you're recognizing, but you don't really understand your gifts. You ain't really tapping into your superpowers. I was, there's been some things that the Lord has been allowing me to see, and you try to process it, because the enemy, it's very crafty. He likes to cause confusion, and he doesn't want you to, he doesn't like to be exposed. His works of darkness. He doesn't like his works of darkness to be exposed. That's why it's always witchcraft. It's always a craftiness. It's always a level of secrecy, you know. But you see what you see. You know what you know. You just don't really understand your gifts. And there was something that I was experiencing, which made me kind of sad. When I get sad, sometimes I spend more time with God. I just want to be quiet and spend time with God. But the Lord has been revealing some things to me. And there was something that I began to feel this morning. And and then I began to see in the spirit. And then I heard the voice say, use your superpowers. And I was just sitting there laying, and I began to see something that someone had been doing against me. And I began to see how they were doing or trying to do this, right? And then I heard another voice say, get up and pray. We're human beings too. We got feelings. We hurt, we feel pain, you know. But at the end of the day, evil is real. And there are a lot of people who don't understand it. So somebody who doesn't understand it can't really give you a word, right? In certain things that you experience. But I want you to understand something, how your gifts work. When you understand your gifts, you won't be so confused. You won't be quick to be nervous at what you see, even if nobody gets you. Your superpower are your gifts and your prayers. You need to use them. When I was in college, you know, um, when I was in college, we were taught something about learning, Fleming's theory of learning, right? And what he said was we were taught that there were three levels of learning, three types of learners, according to Fleming's theory. And the Lord took me back to that yesterday. And Fleming's theory was that three types of learners were auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. And so when the Lord took me back to that, because I've always said, oh, I learn, I'm a kinesthetic, and I'm a visual learner. And the Lord took me back to that and explained to me, it's not just about the way I learn education and educationally is how my gifts are manifested through me, how my gifts operate through me. And so I want you to know something. When you identify how you learn, you're identifying how your gifts operate. So some of you are very gifted in the spirit, but you never had anyone to come through and confirm it and see when your brothers and sisters. This is why it's good for us to not be afraid of one another, but to actually come together from time to time and reason, even discuss things, even our differences. Sometimes we can come together and share with each other because we're supposed to help each other. Sometimes you may be experiencing something and God may send another brother or sister to confirm it. It'll be confirmed or to point something out and give you more clarity, and you can receive that in your spirit because it is confirmed, even though you didn't have all the knowledge. But it's like God will be downloading it in your spirit through their word of mouth, you know. um but when many of you are gifted in the spirit, and your gifts, how you learn is how your gifts operate. So there are some people who are auditory learners, right? So they hear a lot in the spirit, and you can hear things that some people don't hear. And those who don't get you, some people will intentionally, sometimes you can be born into a family, and usually if you have the light of Christ on the inside of you, if you have spiritual gifts, you were probably given to a family where there is a lot of darkness, not so that you could be mistreated, but you were given as a light. You were given as as basically as a way to shine a light in darkness. You know, God placed you wherever you were. I don't care what you went through. I don't care how hard it was. Everybody has a story. Some people's stories are more grievous than others, sad, but God placed each one of us where he wanted us, you know, and there is a reason behind that, and we have to figure those things out. Some of you have already figured those things out, but you have the light on the inside of you. You were probably surrounded by a lot of darkness where people use their words to curse you, labeling you. Their spirits never liked you because their spirits were full of darkness. And I did some videos last year about, your star. Some of you, they saw your star since you were a child, just like they saw Abram's star in the sky, you know. But you had gifts and you may not have understood them. They may have called you crazy because they didn't hear what you could hear if you're an auditory learner. But as you grow and you hold on to Christ, you may even have some people who will try to confuse you. And sometimes the enemy can work through some people who are very close to you. You may have parents that are into secretly, or into idolatry, or into witchcrafts, and so they play games with your mind. They play games with their children. You know, your mother could be jealous of you. You could be someone who is very gifted in the spirit. And if you are, you know, mothers are nurturing. They teach their daughters. They're a woman, so they have a woman daughter. What greater way for her to be affirmed, and her confidence to be built up, and by other than her mother. But you will see sometimes, if it is the enemy operating through your mother, you could be doing many great things, but your mother will never compliment you sincerely. Your mother will always be the mouth that will criticize you. And this is how you can know, not for you to get upset with your mother. You pray for them, you know, but this is how you will know who the enemy is using. But their mouths will always be very, very critical of you. The mouth that is supposed to nurture you and love you and honor you and speak life and blessings into you and esteem you will be the mouth that is used to curse you, to hurt you, to grieve your spirit, to ignore you, to never acknowledge any good thing that you're doing, to never be there as a support, you know. Or it could be your father, you know. You could be someone with a father who is very competitive against you, you know, or just rejects you or abandons you, you know. It could be your siblings. It can be your own sister. You can have sisters or brothers, you know, who could secretly envy you for whatever reason. You could be someone who's well accomplished. You know, you could be someone who has a degree and is going to college and never threw it in anybody's face, but they will say like, oh, she thinks she ought that because she got a degree. You could be somebody who's written books. Oh, she thinks she ought that because she wrote a book. Oh, she thinks she ought that because she married and got a family. I'm gonna destroy that man. I'm gonna cause chaos in her marriage. You can have people working behind the scene to cause confusion in your household, you know. And it could be siblings. It could be people that are close to you, but you got to pay attention to people's behavior, to how they truly make you feel. And then when you are around folk, when you are a person who's spiritually gifted, and you have folk, you see that there are issues going on, and you have folk that just want to go on with life as is normal, and have and be around people who are causing some of these issues, or people who are full of darkness, and you feel these things, and other people who are maybe victims themselves, they want to gather or be around and just go on like it's normal. You won't be able to do that. Your spirit won't be able to do that. So you will have to separate. You see, God called Abraham out from among his family. He said, separate from your kindred, which is your family. There was a lot of idolatry there. And see, when there's issues, spiritual issues, you won't be able to fake it, because your spirit will be so disturbed. Your spirit will be grieved at all the energies and different things you pick up, and no one will, you know. And what'll happen is they'll try to make you look like the problem, because especially if they are under the influence of these wicked spirits, you know, and folk who are not fully surrendered to Christ, and they don't really want to grow. If they're not trying to grow, then no, the spirits that are influencing them will keep you bound, keep you stuck. And you have to separate so that you can grow, so that your gifts can grow, so that you can hear clearer, or see clearer, or feel clearer. Now, and that's you know, auditory. Being an auditory learner, you hear things, right, that everybody don't hear. You can sometimes hear conversations, and even if you're not an auditory learner, sometimes you may begin to hear things in the spirit. You know, you can hear not just negative things, but you can hear when somebody is fond of you. You may be able to hear people's spiritual chatter, hear conversations, but you can't hear the full, like, back and forth. Like, let's say people are sitting down saying, oh, did you drink water today? Yeah, I drank water. You may not be able to hear what they're talking about, but you can hear that they're having a conversation, or hear seemingly innocent conversation. You know, like somebody can be really admire you, and they can go and put a good word in about you to someone, and you may not know exactly what the conversation is or who they spoke to, but you can begin to just hear in the spirit, this person is speaking good things about you. This person really admires you, you know. Or you can maybe feel it. If you are a kinesthetic learner, if you learn through you know, hands-on, really feeling, and it could also be emotionally, you know, you will feel things. So you will feel things that other people don't feel. You're not crazy. You can enter rooms and you can feel the different type of energy. You might not be able to have the words, understand the words to explain. You may have been like this for years and nobody probably never told you. You was a gifted child. Nobody probably never affirmed you. You always probably had people who put their mouth on you, which were curses, even in secret. That's why you got to separate from some of these families. A lot of your attacks and stuff. Not saying be angry with your family, but if you are being raised up in a different way and you see you have gifts now that no one in your family was ever able to explain, or maybe there was some witches deliberately in your family that tried to just take you out as a child, or destroy your name, destroy you from growing. Maybe they were able to see your gifts. You got to come out from amongst people like that so that you can grow, and so that you can continue to be all that God has called you to be and not be destroyed. The energy, the forces of darkness that are attached to the bloodline will try to destroy you through people. And some people don't even know when they're being used by the enemy. But so if you are a kinesthetic learner and you feel things, you begin to express what you feel. Nobody's gonna get you. If nobody gets you, um, it's gonna frustrate you. And you can't expect the people who are broken to get you. But your gifts are your superpowers. So sometimes you have to be by yourself and really learn all that you're carrying. And then you can begin to not be angry with people when you feel certain things on people, or you feel what type of energy somebody is coming in. But you can learn how to protect yourself. You can learn how to separate and pray, but you also learn how to protect yourself and pray, warfare prayers when you begin to feel what people are doing against you. And it can make you sad sometimes, especially as, those faces are revealed. Always pray for God to reveal the face, because you want to know who the enemy is using and how he's using them. And sometimes people will try to confuse you, especially if you got people who actually love their crafts and they are skillful, and they just feel like, oh, they laugh at people of God because you don't know a lot in the spiritual. It's one thing to know the word. That's why God says we serve him in spirit and in truth. Truth is the word, the knowledge, but in spirit. You got to tap into the spiritual side, because life is spiritual. And then you have some folk who are, comfortable in their crafts. They think it's a joke. They will come around you to frustrate you. And then when you start getting frustrated and it comes out, your energy is going to them and they'll be secretly laughing. They know what they're doing. They understand their dark works. But when you don't have to have that type of energy around you, and you can pray, you can call down their evil altars. Call down your help from heaven, from the celestial kingdom, the highest level of heaven. When you begin to go up into and pray from that level, and you are calling down your angelic forces, you're calling down from your father to help the angels that he's given charge over you. So they are descending down onto that darkness. See, when somebody is fighting you here and throwing stones on top of your head, and you looking on the eye level, you be like, and you swinging around you, they laughing because they stay fighting you from a floor up above you, and they throwing down, and you still on the same level. Or you might have, you on your battle with your gun. How you gonna shoot something straight ahead, or on your left or your right or your front or your back, when what's coming on you down from you is actually coming from above you? So you have to go up. You have to rise above so that you can see and be on top of them, right? But anyway, hope I ain't saying nothing confusing. But yeah, you call down your help from the celestial kingdom, where you came from. I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. And so, you feel things. You're not crazy. You know what you feel. Sometimes you can't always verbalize that. And you can't always share it with everybody, because you have a lot of people, they listen very well, not because they care, but because they want to see if you've caught on to what they're doing. It's crafting. It's their craft. That's why they call it witchcraft. But they're powerless. You have the power. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world, than he that is using them. And so I said auditory and kinesthetic and visual. You know, when you are a visual learner, you see. You are a seer, you see. So, some people can, if they can see it, they can learn it. So your gifts are tied to being a seer. You see things, and you may see things that the average person don't see. You will see things that the average person don't see. That's why some people are called seers. A lot of God's prophets in the Bible, they were called seers, you know. And so you will see things, and sometimes the enemy may try to confuse you about what you see. That's why you have to write things down and also pray for clarity. And sometimes it takes time over time, but you see what you see. You see what you see, and it's not always an easy gift to carry, because you gotta, you pray for brothers and sisters who get you, because sometimes when people don't get you, it can make you feel like you're all alone. The enemy likes to make a lot of people who see seers feel like you're crazy. You come from families where you see things, they'll label you as crazy, but you're not crazy. That's your spiritual gift. you know um Seers are needed. Seers are supposed to be influential to leaders, to presidents, to kings, to, seers are people who are great to be connected with. You gotta bless God's people, but you're still human. And sometimes, you know, those who are of the world, you can never expect them to get you, but they put their mouth on God's people who are gifted, because when they see your human side of you, you got the gifts, but you also have to learn how to balance being a human being and being spiritual. You have to balance, because if you stay so spiritual, it will make you feel sick. It'll make you feel depressed. And what I mean by that is you're a human being, so you're operating in this earth as a human being. So there are times when you have to, just enjoy life. And what I mean by that is just be free. I like to listen to music. I like to, sing and, laugh a lot. You have to tap into the side of yourself that makes you feel joy and laughter, and just connecting with people who make you laugh and stuff like that, going out into the world. That can help bring balance, if that makes sense or whatever. Because sometimes the things that you see, you don't want to see, and it can really grieve your spirit, especially when um you don't have a lot of people. It's not like you're going to just meet people every day that can see. And when you are a seer, those who are working against you will be even more craftier. You'll have a lot of people, especially if a lot of your attacks coming from family. You have people that, they will always be having secret conversations about you. So a lot of the warfare, it begins in your family. A lot of the lying on your name, those are just spirits of the enemy using people. So you don't get so upset with the people. Pray for them. Spend time interceding um, for your family, for people that have put their mouth against you. They were used by the enemy. But, you pray for them, because the enemy, they're also victims. But sometimes you still got to separate yourself. But your superpowers are your gifts and your prayers. There's been a lot of attacks, re-strategizing against God's people. The forces of darkness have been trying to re-strategize, reorganize some of those relentless enemies, those relentless household enemies. I did a video last year about household enemies. You can watch it when you get time if you haven't. So always remember, even when you feel clear in the atmosphere, meaning you don't feel the pressure, you don't feel those forces trying to drain you, trying to wear you out. Even when it's calm, when the atmosphere is calm, know that those relentless enemies, all they do is keep re-strategizing. So keep yourself fortified with prayers. Keep your mind on the things of God as well. You know, let your joy be full. Laugh, have a good time. You know, whatever makes you happy in the moment, be happy. um but also understand that what you see is what you see, and pray strategically warfare prayers against what God has revealed to you. You know, so they want you to fail, they want you to die prematurely. That's going to come upon them. They want you to be tormented, you know. So you know, people are just so wicked. They will have evil altars set up, things with your pictures. Sometimes people will take things and dolls and things, and be sticking pins in them. So every pin that they will stick into a doll, wanting you to feel pain, that pain should resonate with them, that pain shall stick with them. And whatever ties, whatever they have trying to create evil altars, tying you to any evil altars, they shall be anything that had that was a point of contact, it shall be canceled in the realm of the spirit. Your residue shall be off of it. So they wanted you to fall, let them fall. You see, the scripture says, he that love curses, let it come upon them. Our enemies can be relentless, but it's all about light versus darkness. There are people who are full of darkness. And when you have religious folk who can come down so hard on people with the word, but they don't spiritually understand spiritual things, and how can they help you? You know, how can they help you? When you have these religious folks, some of them still silence and want to silence women, you know, don't want to listen to a woman, don't want to telling a woman she ain't got no place, but yet you got all these things that you're battling spiritually. How can that leader do a service to God's people? How can they? How can they teach except they be sent by God? They may have the title. So you got to stay away from leaders like that. You know, they will help the enemy beat down your spirit because they can't see in the spirit. You know, they can't see in the spirit. So how can they help you when you are fighting spiritual battles? You know, it takes some people are bound with pride, and that pride is a very, very dark spirit. You know, it'll cause folk to not want to humble themselves because of whatever reason, you know, whatever reason it is. But you got to stay away from prideful people. Prideful people can't do you no good. Yeah, but you see what you see. You hear what you hear. Use your superpowers. Your superpowers are your gifts and your prayers. The prayers of the righteous avail much. You're not crazy. Understand your gifts and how they operate. How are you, how are your gifts manifesting? You know, what are you picking up? How are you picking up on things? What is it that you hear? What is it that you see? What is it that you feel? It's being revealed to you through those avenues. And you don't take those things lightly, because some of you, once sister was sharing some things that she's experiencing. You know, some of you are going through a great level of warfare. You're at the edge of triumphing, of obtaining some things, and the enemy is fighting you right at that edge of a miracle, right at that edge of a breakthrough, because he don't want you to receive that thing, this big thing that has been due to you. It's been delayed for a long time because you've had silent enemies working against you, household enemies working against you. It's been delayed, but it can never be denied, baby. What God has for me, it is for me. Delay is not denial, but there shall be no more. Those forces of darkness have been contending with your angels of blessings. What is it that you see, feel, hear? Use your superpowers and you pray. Get up and pray. Don't be silent. And whoever God is revealing to you and showing you who's behind the scenes, you ain't got to say nothing. Just ask him to hold your heart if it give you a heavy heart. And you pray. All of those silent enemies are going to be exposed. They've already been exposed to you, if you can see. but God is going to put them shame. The expectations of the righteous shall never be cut short. So understand that you are battling forces of darkness that have tricked some people, that are influencing people, and that some people, their hearts are just so desperately wicked. They know what they're doing. They love their crafts. But the power that's on the inside of you and I is stronger than any force of darkness. The gates of hell shall never prevail over God's people. See, it's one thing to be fighting them enemies when you ain't know who you was, when your spirit just get beat up all the time. But it's a whole nother ball game, baby, when you know who you are and you know what you carry. And then you begin to operate from that place. You be slow to anger. You be not easily frustrated, not easily moved, because they are rattled at your frustration. You know how to pray. See, he inhabits the prayers of the righteous. See, it frustrates the kingdom of darkness. It irritates them when they see us pray. Oh, glory. I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood. I know it was the blood for me. One day when we were lost, Jesus died upon the cross. And I knew it was the blood for me. They pierced him in his side for me, for you and I. And you know what? He never said a mumbling word. He never said a mumbling word. He never said a mumbling word for me. One day when we were lost, Yeshua died upon the cross. And I know it was the blood for me. Oh, glory. That blood covenant will never lose its power, baby. See, we are protected. And even when you fall, get back up. There's no condemnation for those who are in Christ. Don't try to play God now. You can't play him. You can't pimp him. But get on back up. It's a war. Crucify this flesh a little bit more. Stay strong. He's coming back again. He's coming back again. He's coming back again for me. One day when we were lost, Yeshua died upon the cross. And I know it was the blood for me. Oh, glory. Uh-oh. So anyway, if you see me attach this video, if there's a skit, there was a message that my video exceeded the length, so it cut, and I guess it restarted. If not, then I'll just upload this. Let me go ahead and end it here. Remember, you are the light of the world. We can't never let our light grow dark. We got to keep shining bright. And we know that the blood of Jesus Yeshua, that blood will never lose its power. Use your superpowers, baby. Tap into your gifts and pray. Break up them forces of darkness. Dismantle Satan's kingdom. Brick by brick. Through your prayers. Don't be easily angered. Don't be easily rattled. When you understand what you carry and the power of God that operates in you, you'll learn how to tap into it. And then we won't just be quoting Luke 10:19. We'll be operating from that place of power. Luke 10:19. For I've given you the power to tread over snakes and scorpions and the authority. That means you have legal jurisdiction over all power of the enemy. And nothing shall by any means harm you. Lay hands over yourself. And my sister, this is off subject, that said that you're praying for a miracle for your son. Whatever it is going on with your son, I want you to lay hands on him. Begin to command the body. Whatever is happening, don't feel helpless. That's not a place of power. Believe what you are saying, what you speak over him, and you take your authority by God, your God-given authority, and you lay hands on him, and you command whatever is dysfunctioning, whatever's out of order, you command it to be back in order. You speak life. Where the enemy may be trying to speak death, sometimes he uses doctors to speak death over people. You speak life, and it shall be so. Right? So anyway, have a blessed day. Happy Sabbath. I'm so glad it's Sabbath, y'all. I needed some. I worked so long Tuesday. I got so much videos. I've been working on something. Tuesday, I ended up working. I got up late. I was like, y'all can have my worm. I was tired, so I got more rest. I got up late and I didn't finish. I stayed out working until 1 o'clock in the morning. I was determined to fix that thing. I was working on my truck, and I was determined to fix that thing. And I ended up replacing a idler pulley, a water, which didn't need to be replaced. But I said, let me just go ahead and do that anyway. While I'm in there, I was replacing a tensioner, the belt, because the spring broke. And I replaced the tensioner. And I thought I checked all the pulleys, the alternator and all of that. And my spirit told me to change that alternator because it's been stock. It's been on there for so long. But I had somebody in my ear. Oh, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. Always follow your spirit, people of God. So I replaced the tensioner pulley, which was my initial issue. And I checked the pulleys on everything else. I should have followed my spirit and replaced the alternator. But when I turned it, pulley was good. It was spinning. So, and then I had this thing in my ear. I wouldn't do this, blah, blah. So I just went ahead and replaced the water pump, replaced the idler pulley. Since I was replacing all that stuff for the first time, and since the tensioner went bad, I was like, okay, let me replace everything. Put the new belt on. As soon as I put the new belt on, I got finished. Daylight was still out. The alternator, as soon as I crank it up, the alternator went. I turn it back up. The alternator heat up and pop that belt. So that, even though the tensioner was bad, the spring in it was bad, that wasn't the main issue. The main issue was that doggone alternator, so I should have followed my spirit. So I said, I'm going to finish this tonight. I'm determined. So it got dark. It was getting dark, so I had to get another alternator, rush to get that before them people closed, get another belt, and I just paid $50 for that belt I replaced. And I did all of that, and I didn't finish till like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, also, I guess what really, really drained me is because I was fasting. So I did all that work, all that, and so I was trying to catch up. I was exhausted. So Tuesday took a lot of energy out of me. And I carried on with my normal day Wednesday. And so I'm trying to catch up on some rest, basically. So anyway, y'all have a blessed day. I love you. Use your superpower. The power is within you. Don't never be afraid at the works of darkness. Don't never be afraid when you feel evil, what the evil ones are doing. They're doing their job. They're of their father, the devil. But we have the power. And your light can overshine darkness. Over some time, as the Lamanites and the Nephites, when you study the descendants of Joseph, over time, those wicked Lamanites, some of them began to be converted after all the evil and things they did. So just stand your ground. Stand your ground and pray. Use your superpowers. You're not crazy. Understand your gifts. Have a blessed day. Happy Sabbath. I love you.